Hey there again, everyone, and welcome back to my craft room. This cute little card is another offering for my September to December 2022 mini catalogue launch party. We're using the Merriest Trees bundle again, as per I have featured it already in our craft along card for those of you that bought the full live launch experience. But this time we're going to explore a few more elements of the bundle, just to see that you can get the best out of it, with lots and lots and lots of designs. This card was actually inspired by a sketch challenge I did recently in my Australian card group. Basically, the 3 panels of cardstock or designer series paper mounted on the card base with the circle in the middle was the basic sketch that I provided my group members. We had some lovely results from that, but it also inspired me to create this card as well. So if you get stuck for inspiration, sometimes a little sketch challenge is a real good way of getting the juices flowing. So I really recommend that, because I have been a little bit stumped for ideas this early in the catalogue. Later on, you see lots of things that other people do and it gets you moving, but working with things early on, it's sometimes difficult to come up with original ideas, or at least for me it is. So anyway, this is, as I say, inspired by that sketch challenge. And we're using the stamp set to stamp our tree, and we're actually using the 4 layers of the stamps of the tree, which is the top 4 layers. You can see we're going to cut off that bottom one. We use the little stem there, the little trunk. We also use, I don't use a sentiment out of this one. I use a sentiment out of a different stamp set just because I wanted something nice and little, but we'll use a sentiment inside. Oh yeah, and we use the dies, obviously. We use the More Dazzle Designer specialty paper for that, our cute little star there. And we also use, and these are wonderful to be just little flat baubles. You can see those little baubles I've used. These are in the current catalogue, the iridescent adhesive-backed discs. I've got the wrong glasses on for seeing up close, so I'll just swap glasses and I'll be able to read things. Yes, the iridescent adhesive-backed discs. Perfect for that sort of flat effect that you need looking at this sort of design. Anyway, so let's get started. The designer series paper that I've actually used for our layers is the A Walk in the Forest designer series paper. It's got some lovely designs, sort of the Sahara, shaded spruce, cherry cobbler, garden green, some lovely sort of Christmas tree based designs, pine needles, pine cones, all that sort of thing. So it's a lovely paper if you're interested in engraving something with a Christmas theme and you like those sorts of colours. Pop that aside. I've already got the papers and everything cut. Don't traumatise too much about the measurements at this stage. As I mentioned, they will all be in your PDF, metric and empirical. So here we go. So let's get started with this card. So here I have all the bits and bobs. I'll just move these out of the way. Okay, so we've got a blank piece of paper that's just for stamping our Christmas tree and our stalk, and we'll come back and we'll do that in a second. We've got some circles here, a largish circle that's been cut in cherry cobbler and a smaller one in basic white. They have been cut with the Stylish Shapes die set. If you like stitched shapes, like just geometric shapes, I'd suggest that Stylish Shapes is for you. A couple of pieces of designer series paper from the pack. A piece of cherry cobbler that I've already popped through that snowflake sky embossing folder that we've used a couple of times already. Card base in cherry cobbler, white panel for inside, same size white panel for the outside. As I say, measurements, get them from your PDF. Okay, I've got my light on over there and it's picking up the reflection on that stamp set, so I might just move that totally out of the way. The little star that you saw that I've put on the top of the Christmas tree is our More Dazzle specialty paper, so we'll cut that as well when we get to that part. Okay, so let's get this assembly happening first. Grab some glue. Hopefully this is feeling a bit light, this glue. I might just pop the backing panel in first. Card base is my normal size card base, 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. These white layers are 1/4 of an inch smaller, so that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. Just burnish that. So that's the same size front and back. So we might pop our layers on here to make our little background. So we've got one piece of this with a lovely vertical stripe there. This one's got berries and pine needles and things on it, so we're going to pop that one down there. And then this one that's got the embossing, we're going to pop over to the side. So that's our little tile layout that we're going to use. Now the pieces of cardstock and designer series paper have been cut to measurements that allow it to have the same sort of sized border around of the white showing through. Grab the measurements from the PDF. So I'll just pop this lower one here first. And this one. So lining up the edge of this one with the edge of that one, so they line up completely, and making sure you have the same sort of gap, top and bottom, and on the left-hand side. And it's sort of straight would be good as well. And then just bring this last one in. As I said, this is cherry cobbler, and it's been popped through the snowflake sky embossing folder. There we are. There we are. So that's our little tile. Now that's sketch, the 3 pieces of matching sized cardstock or designer series paper with the circles on the front. As I say, very versatile sketch to follow if you're a little bit stumped and you just need a bit of a creative oomph. Okay, so our circle of cherry cobbler is going to sit on the front of our card here, just straight on. So I'm popping it sort of the same distance top and bottom. I'm just checking my original design there. So sort of the same in the middle, left and right, top and bottom, just like that. And we might just leave our little card to dry for a second. Oh, wait, actually, no, we can pop that onto our card base. Let's pop it onto our card, and then we don't have to worry. So pop that onto our card base. You could pop this on dimensionals if you want, but I've got a fair bit of dimension coming with this second circle, so it's entirely up to you. And the floor of my craft room is covered with those little dimensional backings like a snowstorm, so it might be best to let it have a rest from that. So we've got our white circle remaining. We've got a piece of white scrap cardstock. We're going to do our stamping, and we've got our piece of more dazzle gold there as well. So, okay, so the sentiment I'm going to pop on this one has to be, I'll bring back this so you can see, the Christmas tree takes up at least half of the front of our card, the front of our circle. So the sentiment had to be sort of a bit smaller so it would sit nicely to the right-hand side. The stamp set really didn't have anything small enough for that. Even the Love and Joy was a bit big. So I swapped to, and I haven't actually got it here. I'll go and get it. I swapped to the town. Now we'll see this stamp set in a different card during the day. It's a really cool little stamp set. It has the Christmas themed little house here, and some carolers. Christmas tree. Christmas tree is really cool. I'm going to use that a couple of times, and we'll use it again. This Christmas arch with a gate And anyway, this little sentiment here that I'm going to use. So we'll see this one in another video, or if you, but I'm going to use that sentiment right now, just because it's nice and compact and it has a nice sort of meaning to it. It's actually, I better say what it is, wonderful wishes to you. So I'll grab my cherry cobbler ink. Decided that rather than 'tis the season to be jolly, it's actually more appropriate to say 'tis the season to use lots of cherry cobbler and shaded spruce cardstock and ink. Probably doesn't go together in a song quite as well, but yes, do use a lot of cherry cobbler and shaded spruce for this time of year. So that's our sentiment. As I say, I've put that towards the right-hand side a bit because our Christmas tree is going to take a bit of space on the left. So we'll do a Christmas tree now. I'll bring back the original stamp set, the Merriest trees. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to grab my piece of paper to protect my surface. Now, as I think I mentioned, well, we'll mention when we do our craft along together card, the stamp set, probably easier to see it here. The stamp set has one big stamp with the big Christmas tree. You can choose whether you use 2 layers of the tree, 3 layers, 4 layers, or the whole tree, depending on how big you want your tree to be. There's a cute little sentiment here that says, "We wish you a Merry Christmas," and it is in tree shape. So you can just stamp that straight onto the tree if you like. Lots of other little gift, there's a bit of detail there for the Christmas tree, some stars, baubles, gifts, everything that you need, all the accessories you need for a tree. But we're going to use just the plain tree this time. I'll grab the block. There's only really one block that's big enough, and that's the E block, unless you're using a stamping platform, which I think most of us would hopefully have something like that big enough in our craft room. So yeah, it needs a fairly big block. I'm going to stamp my tree in garden green. It's one of the colours that matches the designer series paper. And I'm only going to concentrate on the top 4 levels or layers of the tree. So I don't really have to ink up the whole thing. I just want the top 4 branches. You might grab a, where are you? I'll grab a foam mat just to get good coverage, because I don't think my garden green stamp pad is particularly juicy. I may have to re-ink it. Oh, hopefully we'll be all right. Okay, giving it every good chance. Yeah, so we're going to pop that. We're going to be die cutting this, so it doesn't matter too much as long as I can get the whole thing on the paper. There we are. Okay, so that's stamped pretty well. So just a nice solid tree. It's got the white lines between it, obviously, that you can use to die cut or fussy cut if you haven't got the dies. But I'm going to just cut those top 4 branches. I also need the little stem, stalk, trunk. That's what a tree has, isn't it? Trunk. I'll put that back so I don't lose it. That's the one from the sentiment from the shop, the town. I'll pop that back. Oh, need a little trunk. Now I'm going to use, what did I decide to use? I didn't get it out. We're using pecan pie, I think. Yeah, pecan pie for our trunk, but any brown would do. I just think the paper has pecan pie as one of its colours. We'll just stamp that. So we're going to either fussy cut or die cut that as well. And we also need to die cut a star. Okay, so we'll bring in the die cutting machine. here's the dies. I think if you've watched our craft along video already, or you will have seen the dies for this bundle. As I mentioned, each layer of the stamp set has a die of its own. So if you want the whole big tree, you use the big die. And if you just want the 4 layers, you want a smaller tree, and then 3, and then 2, and then just the top. So there's, you can choose the size of your tree. So we've got the 4. We want the 4 tree, the 4-layer tree. We also want a star in our more dazzle paper, and this is the little die for the trunk. Lots of other dies there, as you mentioned. There's a gift tag there you could use. That's really handy looking. And that's the baubles and stars and things. I'm not quite sure what that one is. I think, oh, that's something to do with the tag. Okay, let's die cut these. Don't want that one. That's for our gold foil. There's our tree. We can just line that up. Hopefully line that up. Don't move. I haven't been able to find I've got some masking tape here somewhere to hold these, but I haven't been able to find it. I think somebody's stolen it, which is probably fair because I think I stole it from someone in the first place. I have to go and steal it back. Oh, I think that moved. It did a bit, but not a lot. That's okay. The trunk moved. I do have a non-Stampin' Up metallic magnetic plate that I use on this machine, but I haven't got that one out this time. Okay, so that's our tree and our trunk. I may have to trim that trunk a wee bit. We'll get rid of that's our scrap. Here we are. I'm going to do one little star out of our more dazzle. I'll just cut a wee bit so I don't put the whole thing through. And I think that's all the die cutting we need from this set. Obviously, if you're making this one at home, you need to die cut your circles and your all the other bits and bobs, but that's all we need for this display. So there's our little gold star. Okay, pop the machine away now. And let's pop this card together. Okay, so I'm going to pop the Christmas tree onto our little white circle and bring it up as close to the sentiment as I can. So this little branch here nestles in there. Where you could take it, yeah, that's probably the best spot. Sort of just so you can take it right up to the sentiment as close as you possibly can. So I'm going to glue that to the circle. So obviously only need glue on a certain amount of it. The reason I'm not popping it on the card straight away is because I'm going to pop this on dimensionals. So I'd like it sort of assembled first. So the glue sort of goes around this central part there. Now make sure that's straight and the tree is upright. Yep, that looks about right. Okay, then we'll grab our little stalk, just pop some glue on one end and just bring that up and under there. So you've got the right amount showing at the bottom. It's sort of central and sort of straight. So that's just in there. Okay, so that's the most of our tree done. Not quite straight, there we are. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to grab, there's a little trio of stars here. Where are they? There. A little trio of stars, just to take a bit of the plainness away from around that sentiment. I just will stamp a couple of little stars. Find the perfect orientation. I think it's that way. There we are. So it just takes a little bit of plainness away. Now I might pop the card together now. So we'll bring in the card base, grab some dimensionals. Oh, there we go. Okay, you see I've actually popped one on the Christmas tree as well, not just the circle. Actually, I think I'm going to need a little dimensional on that trunk as well, just to support that. I'll grab that in a sec. And maybe one up the top here, where the top of our Christmas tree overlaps as well. I'll bring in a couple of little ones. There we are. All dimensioned up. Now pop that in the centre of our cherry cobbler circle, and as vertical as I can manage it. There, really nice. Now we'll just add the little extra pieces. We've got our star. So what we can do is just pop some glue on the top of our Christmas tree, because that's now supported with a sort of supported with a dimensional, and we can pop our star there. Now, if you wanted to pop another dimensional up and behind that star, that would work okay now. But I think that's okay. We've got our cute little star. Wouldn't be a Christmas tree without a star. And we're going to, which I think absolutely makes this card, we're going to add some of our iridescent discs. Really, I think this makes the card very, very special. We are going to use quite a few, so buckle in. So I'm going to use a combination of the red ones and the green ones. So I'll pop some red ones on first. And this becomes almost like an extension of my real life, in that I am very picky, too picky, the kids would say, about where the baubles go on my tree. Often when the kids were little, I'd get them to decorate the Christmas tree, and then once they'd gone to bed, I would go and move things around, because they didn't quite meet my imaginary, I suppose, requirements for equally distanced baubles. And it's just probably another Christmas tree person would go, that's not right. But it was what was in my mind. Oh, that one's flopped away somewhere. Hopefully it's still okay. So these are the green ones. There we are. It needs to go out a bit. There we go. Okay, so there's our Christmas tree with its lovely baubles there. Okay, so the other colours in these, there's a sort of a very soft pink one, almost white. There's a pink one, which I think would be Berry Burst, or um, what's the other pink? Mango. No, not mango. Melon Mambo. There's the piece of paper that goes with that, so you'd see it better. There we go, that'll do. Yeah, pink one and a very soft sky blue one, which is probably balmy blue. Yeah. Yeah, so and they've got that iridescent look, so they actually have lots of like pearly colours all in there. Don't know where the thingy went for that. I'll find it. Oh no, there it is. Okay, so that card is finished. Hopefully you like that one. I really like the colours in that paper, designer series paper, which sort of flowed onto the card. I really like the tree. I love the tree. And I really like those little baubles as well. So, yeah, nothing to not like about that one. So something we could pop inside. Wonderful wishes to you. What's this one? Hoping your home is filled with the spirit of the season. So we could pop that one inside. Find a lock. So this is a sentiment from the actual stamp set, the Merriest trees, and it's good that it's got a very similar font. There we are. Nice. Okay, so that's another card from our day together. Hopefully you like that one and you'll give it a go. This Merriest trees bundle, I think, will be a product class over the next month or so. So towards the end of 2023, we'll probably get this one as a product class, or not this particular card, but this bundle featured in my product class. So there we are. Nice, relatively simple, but very effective Christmas card there. Okay, so thanks very much, guys, and I'll catch you again soon.